everyone, it's Jay.
And Sean.
And we watched a movie.
Of course we did.
So, we have been hitting the horror movies pretty hard these days. It is Spooktober, and we are
100% invested.
Spooking it up every day.
At least once, maybe more.
That's right. And I am still sleeping like a baby at night.
Well.
No, you know, babies are up every 2 hours. Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about Countdown.
Oh, yeah.
So that is a relatively new movie on Amazon Prime in their Halloween section, the horror section, written and directed by Justin Deck, starring Elizabeth Lail as Quinn. So Quinn is a young nurse, or very almost a nurse, working in a hospital, and she's got a patient, like a teenage boy, who is scheduled for surgery the next day, and he is so super nervous. He doesn't want to go, doesn't want to go, doesn't want to go, and she's like, it's all right. This is like 2020. We're in a first world country. We can do this. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I downloaded this app, and it counts down to your death. And his death is being forecasted for the next day during the surgery. So he's pretty disturbed by that.
And the reason he's even more disturbed by it is because his girlfriend downloaded the app at a party along with him. She's already dead.
That's right. So she was supposed to die that night. She refused to get in the car with him when he was drunk. So she walked home by herself, ended up dead anyways, and he got in an accident where a tree limb like pierced the car seat where she would have been.
Yeah.
So
she was doubly dead.
Was coming for her. The app seems to have predicted that pretty well, and now his is counting down in just a matter of hours.
So what does Quinn do?
Well, she relates this story at the, good old shift turnover. Let's have a real ha-ha at the patient's expense. And so all of the doctors and nurses decide, well, let's download this together. And, lots of people, lots of terrible people are going to live to be 80 and 90. There's a sexual harassing doctor. Why is he in this? Yeah. He is going to live forever. I don't know if it's like vampire years exactly, but a pretty long time. And of course, our girl Quinn has like 3 days to live.
Yep.
So again, like the patient who didn't want to go to surgery, she starts adjusting her life to not die. She cancels a road trip she was going to take with her family. And then it turns out that her little sister, Jordan, played by Talitha Bateman, has pretty much the same countdown. So it would seem that she is also scheduled to die around the same time. Not the exact same time, but whatever is going to happen is going to happen to both of them. So they hook up with this other random dude because they're all at a cell phone store trying to have this app removed. As if that would just...
Well, they have all sorts of weird theories about how this will work. They do have a lot of weird
theories. So this dude, Matt, played by Jordan Calloway, he's got the app. He's only got a couple days to live. They're all heavily invested in figuring this thing out. You can't delete the app, by the way. No. And the app gets mad if you try.
It does. It gets mad if you do a lot of things.
Yes. So the next natural step, I think, is to consult a priest. So they do.
They did.
Yeah. And I don't know all the reasoning behind this. If it was like, well, it's an app, but it must be like a demon running the app.
Yeah, it's just an evolution of an old wise woman's prophecy that it has gone digital.
Sure.
Let's say.
Okay. So this movie is like a lot of movies that have this sort of fate that you know of and that you're going to try to avoid. It's like the Final Destination movies. This one has a clock actually counting down, which is an effective device in a horror movie, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. What did you think about this movie, Sean?
It's actually better than I thought it would be.
Okay.
It works. It's you have to just suspend your disbelief.
Well, okay,
leave that
is a given for horror movies,
but more so for this.
Yeah.
Like even like right at the start of the first death, you're like, whoa, yeah, like what is happening here?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right. This is no mere car accident.
No.
That's right.
But if you just go with it, it's like, it goes to the end, I guess.
Sure does. And it's got some pretty effective jump scares in there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily the hallmark of a great horror movie, but it's nice to actually
but this is not a great horror movie.
No, it's not. I'm just saying, like, I don't need jump scares, and sometimes I'm resentful if that's all you're trying to give me. I think this movie does a good mix of them.
Yes.
But I did experience, if not horror, then some, like, momentary scares.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, because a lot of stuff lately I don't feel like has had that element. And this one did for me. I was tense. I was sometimes afraid.
Yeah.
And the element of the unknown or the unexplainable or just the incomprehensible, it adds a little mystique to it, you know, because if you are expecting a demon, then you could watch out for that demon. But if this thing is weird and unknown, you don't know the rules, and so everything goes.
Yes.
And a lot of stuff goes.
Everything does go here.
It goes.
Yeah.
Even I thought, and I got a little nitpicky here, but good hospital protocols were very absent.
Oh, they were.
Their medication should be locked up. So somebody might want to check into this nurse because she seemed to have her hands on a lot of drugs.
Yeah, that's true. And she was getting them from the asbestos wing that was supposed to have no one in it.
Although it was not blocked off.
No, they just had some caution tape that used to be wrapped around the door handles.
Yes. Anyway, so that is Countdown. It's on Amazon Prime. It is not bad. It is not great, but if you like the Final Destination kind of stuff, this is definitely a here's my fate and here's how I'm going to try my best to invent ways to skirt around it.
They do try.
They do. Another one I watched on Amazon Prime is called Home Sweet Hell. Now, this was in the Halloween category. It was in the horror category. I don't really think it was horror exactly, but it's about a married couple, Dawn and Mona. So Dawn is played by Patrick Wilson, Mona by Katherine Heigl. And she is like almost a Stepford wife. She has her whole life planned out, organized, whiteboarded, agended up the wazoo. Everything has to be by the book, by her book. It's a little insane. He's a furniture salesman. Tries really hard to live up to his wife's expectations. Never quite does. No.
I mean, he's a furniture salesman.
He's a furniture salesman, yes. And her parents had to help him out with the business. And it's you know, they're not a thriving success. They're getting by. He hired a Belushi, so, you know. Anyways. So, and everybody kind of knows about his wife. Oh, his wife. You are insane for putting up with her. She's a real cold bitch. Which I hated right from the get-go in this movie, that she was definitely into that category where they were just like giving her every terrible woman thing you could. You know, you can't have sex unless it's scheduled, and like everything that you could throw at a woman, they did. And I was like, how heavy-handed can you get? This is gross.
This heavy-handed.
Yeah. So what happens is Dawn ends up hiring a new salesperson, Dusty. Dusty played by Jordana Brewster. And they have an affair. And she gets pregnant, so he has to tell his wife. Oh, gosh, you know, I don't think she is all that hurt by the affair, but I think she is deeply troubled by the effect this will have on the image of perfection she has created. She has to take some cleansing breaths with her goals book just to sort of recenter herself and and deal with this new thing. So yeah, she is that kind of woman who probably doesn't have a lot of feelings, but she does have a lot of pride in the outlook of her family, the outward appearance of it, and what will people think, what will people say, that's really preying on her mind. So obviously, there's nothing to do. I mean, Dusty is already trying to extort her husband. And so Mona's like, well, I guess you have to murder her. And he's like, oh, no. And clearly in this marriage, she is the one wearing the pants. So she has to really plan things out for him. And then when he still is wallowing, she starts pulling the trigger. And gosh, it turns out that her Dexter-like personality traits really come in handy. She kind of, I think, enjoys the process a little too much, that's for sure. She has discovered a new side to herself, but it's not a side you really want to unlock in your wife. So around that time when she was starting to get into it, and it is kind of interesting to see this woman who is so steadfast and prim and proper really just get into not just murder, but like chopping bodies up and stuff. Like, she's really into the blood. So that's kind of fun, especially since it's Katherine Hagel, who hilariously has had a real reputation for being a bitch. So this is a weird role for her to take and reinforce. So it is kind of funny. So I kind of started to think, like, is there something here? Because I had hated it so much. And then I was like, okay, it's black comedy. It's very black. Not that much comedy, but it's very black. It's a little bit satire. Basically, at the end of the day, I couldn't get there with it. I think that that's what they were trying for, but they weren't smart enough. It just feels like a mess. It feels offensive. It's hard to have fun with it. And it doesn't look like they're having that much fun doing it. Plus, I love Patrick Wilson, so I hate seeing him in this weird situation. It's hard to know who to root for because obviously every female character in this movie is just the worst possible person in the world. Not that the men are shining examples of citizenship themselves, but the women are just denigrated. They're vilified. It's gross how it's handled, and I really couldn't quite get over the misogyny to be entertained in any way by this movie. So Countdown is the better option of the two. Both are on Amazon Prime. You can check them out if you dare. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.